and the other game is about to begin as well, as we've got handshakes. Nodirbek, what opening approach does he have planned for this one in his must-win game? He's going for the queen's pawn opening, and are we going to see a queen's gambit declined? It's the Nimzo.
I think it's a good choice from Fabiano. He's played the Nimzo from the black side so many times over the years, and he strikes at the center. He's not afraid of some trades. If he can actually liquidate, he's feeling happy, and we could get an isolated queen pawn position like Denis Lazovic had against Fabiano.
Yeah, and we saw what happened in that game. Abdusattorov, meanwhile, will he get his knight out? Will he just get castled? Will he be the first to blink and trade off a set of pawns in the center? There's a lot of tension right now. He does trade off, just simplifying the equation there. And look at that, peering away from the board. He's in recall mode, trying to go into that mind palace and remember what to do against this slightly rare knight recapture. And I think we're headed straight on that same path, Robert, that you mentioned. Lazovic against Nakamura. I think we had this exact position on the board.
And Lazovic against Fabiano was something similar. So for Fabi, he's taking the direct path. He wants to clarify the state of affairs on this board. We see white saddle, you could say, with an isolated queen pawn, or you say is the beneficiary, because that pawn is very useful. When you have an isolated pawn, you have open files adjacent to it.
And very often the compensation for this early opening weakness is to try to get the play rolling and an attack going against your opponent's king. The more pieces that come out, the more trades. General rule is that it favors the side that's attacking the weakness on the board. So for Nodirbek, it will be key to try and keep as many pieces on the board as possible to keep the pressure. He has provoked g6, which can often become a hook at some point, perhaps a faraway h4, h5 to create play. Is it fair to say Nodirbek is going to try to avoid all possible trades in this position?
Yeah, certainly. Any endgame black would feel safe, especially in terms of the match situation. I do love Fabiano's last move, I must admit, bringing the black dark square bishop the whole way back, just covering all the dark squared weaknesses around black's king. And yeah, it's up to Nodirbek. The pressure is on him to attack due to the match, but also due to the nature of this position. IQP, I used to play it all the time myself from a variety of different openings. You have to be energetic. You have to keep pedaling on this bicycle. You cannot stop, otherwise you might just fall off. Black long term doing well, short term white has dynamic potential.
I like that bishop retreat, because when you have the Swiss cheese pawn formation like black does, all those pawns on light squares, it means that your dark squares are vulnerable. So he brings his bishop next to his king. Soon that bishop will be in front of his king, staring at that isolated queen pawn in the center of the board, protecting some critical squares. I like what Fabi's doing, and the fact that Nodirbek is thinking, I believe that he also approves of Fabiano's position.
Well, he needs to approve of his own position right now. He is playing for the win, and it's the only result that will keep this.
both sides are going to make mistakes here because we see Fabi down to a minute. Nodirbek, he's trying to punish Fabi on the clock. He may think that's his best chance because of how stubborn Fabi's been. But if he could trade off some pieces, if Fabi's able to do that and get some checks against the white king, he may have some chances to survive.
Black's been under attack the whole game on the king side. Maybe it's time for Black to suddenly counter and flip the script. Play g5 yourself, open lines against the white king. You mentioned it, Robert. Go for the counterattack. He's trying to do similar in a different way, attacking white's far advanced h6 pawn this time. And Nodirbek just gives it up. He's ready to swing the white rook across and block any captures. And Fabi just maintaining his setup, yo-yoing back and forth with the black queen. He's just banking on the fact that he's stable. And white has the pressure of creating a plan.
And Nodirbek might make this plan. He slide his second rook over to the b file and sacrifice his rook for a bishop on b7. That might be what's done it. Whoa, speaking of sacrifice, he gives up a pawn.
Wow.
We were looking at these ideas if the a7 pawn was hanging, but this is a full sacrifice. The rook jumps onto b8, it hits the queen. You've got to move it up to e7 because you need to keep the h4 square under control.
But the white rook's coming behind. It's in and behind, just like Magnus Carlsen did against Faruja earlier today. You bring the rook behind, you've pinned a weakness on h7. No way for black to defend the h7 pawn once the white rook swings the whole way into the corner.
Nodirbek Abdusattorov has found a way to break through.
He has, and I think Fabi has to bring his own rook to attack the white queen, but that's not going to be sufficient. Tanya, you spied it. The queen eyes that a7 pawn. You bring your rook all the way down for the attack. The queen takes a pawn with check, and I think both of those pawns would be lost, so he moves queen up, but rook h8. That's
Queen h4, that was the point, that you need to keep the queen defending that square, and queen f6 is a massive threat. How do you fight it?
You don't
fight it. It's handshakes. Nodirbek comes back, and thus we've got two Armageddons coming up. The players there sitting to check out, analyze a little bit, but they've got a big game coming up. Wow, what a comeback from the comeback kid.
Both the comeback kid and Hikaru Nakamura, the streamer, the content creator, and someone who created his own chances just to be in the survival stage. But Nodirbek Abdusattorov, the world rapid champion back in 2021, he now has a lot of pressure on him to write his bid down and figure out if he wants the white or black pieces. But what a game that was.
What a game and what a survival stage. All decisive so far, all white wins, and Armageddon to look forward to at this